YouTube. I just wanted to touch on some things. Today's basically the end of day 8, Suboxone withdrawal. I've had a few questions. I guess, first of all, let me say this. I've been going through this stuff for a really long time. I broke my neck in a car accident back in, it was 2003. And what happened was it did not only that damage, but it did a lot of damage. I had bilateral foraminal stenosis, which is basically where your nerves are being blocked off by bone growth. I had cervical radiculopathy. I had severe degeneration of my C3 and my C4. And it was bad. I mean, it was really bad. In fact, the pain that I lived in stayed at basically an 8 or a 9 all the time on the pain scale. It got to the point at the very end where I told my husband that if the surgery did not fix me, and by the way, the surgery was something we had to fight for roughly about 4 years. It took a long time for me to get the surgery because, of course, Obama did what Obama did, and Obamacare it's just basically screwed up the entire insurance system. So anyway, 4 years surgery, had the surgery, and it did fix it. It enabled me it gave me the ability to walk again unobstructed without causing more pain. So anyway, with that said, I went on Suboxone because I was really afraid of the withdrawals. I was snorting anywhere between 200 to 400 milligrams of oxy a day. And at the very end, after I had the surgery, I shot up Dilaudid. In fact, I shot up the 80 Dilaudid that my neurosurgeon gave to me, and it scared the shit out of me. And I knew something had to give. So I tried doing it myself at first. It doesn't work like that, or at least for me, it didn't anyway. I had already been through this process, but the last time, the withdrawal, it was just so extreme, and mentally, I didn't have the capacity to wrap my mind around what I was in store for. And I think I made it like 3 days, and the pain was so extreme that I couldn't do it. Believe it or not, I went to a hospital. I asked a doctor for help. I never asked for opiates. I never asked for pain medication, nothing. And in fact, what I asked for was a non-narcotic blood pressure medication called clonidine, because I have done a shit ton of research in my life since all this began. And anyway, so we all know clonidine helps ease withdrawals. And the doctor looked at me with a huge grin on his face and said that he wasn't giving me a drug that was addictive, which he was referring to clonidine, thinking that I didn't know what the medication really was. So instead, he offered me a shot of morphine, which clearly I took. Because I'm an addict and nobody wants to be that sick. So the next morning, first thing, because I still had the morphine in my system, I wasn't completely in withdrawals, I got desperate, and that's when I started looking up methadone clinics, and I started looking up just anything. And somehow I ended up coming across a website, and I talked to this guy that called me back from a Suboxone website, and he told me about a doctor that was in my area that would accept my health insurance, and that's where it all began. So 5.5 months later, fast forward, they cut my insurance. We had Blue Cross Blue Shield. They dropped it to Aetna. And Aetna basically screwed me in the process, where I had been only paying a $20 copay, and I didn't even pay for my medication. So all of a sudden, this huge cost was dumped in my lap. And I've heard this story repeated so many freaking times. And what bothers me is not everybody has what I had available to me. And what I mean by that is I had a store of Suboxone, because I always, every time I went into him, because I started off on 16 milligrams, and then I cut it down to 8, quick like and in a hurry, because 16 was way too much. So then I ended up dropping it to 6. I went through a really rough time. My husband and I almost broke up. And I ended up going to North Carolina, which is where I come from. I currently live in Florida. And there was just all the stress. And I ended up going back up to 8 milligrams because, believe it or not, it did help with the amount of stress that I was under. So anyway, right around that time, I started walking on a daily basis. I'm going to tell you what. anyone that's out there that's still on the Suboxone that really wants to get off it, I'm going to make this suggestion because I really think this made a huge difference for me, and that is the fact that I exercised incessantly. Now, I know a lot of people have jobs. It's not always easy for people. You know, I'm lucky that I am married and my financial needs are met. But even if you can, I mean, what's an hour a day? You're on Suboxone, you're not in pain, you know, just walk. It's not going to kill you. As much as you can. You know, it started off like 2-3 miles a day, and then it was 5, and then it was 10, and believe it or not, I got it up to 15. I was eating healthy. I was eating a lot of superfoods. I was really paying attention to my health. And to answer somebody's question, I found out about the vitamin C online. Now, I did follow a girl named Jordan on here, and it helped me a lot. You know, guys, when we're going through this, we want to see how things are going to be for ourselves. You know, this person's been through it, say they know what the road looks like. And the great thing about videos, and I guess this is why I did what I did and documented the little bit that I have documented, is because the videos helped me so greatly. You know, people do not understand what addiction is. They do not understand that it does not matter. Pain medication is not something that is, what's the word I'm looking for? It is not something that, it's not selective. Anybody. I don't give a crap if you're the president of the United States. You could get addicted to this drug. That's how easy. And it's a trap, because in the beginning it makes you feel really good. But then all of a sudden you're taking it because you don't want to be sick. It's a trap. Makes you think you're a powerhouse. You can do whatever you can do whatever you want. You can talk to anybody you want, and life's great. But the sad reality is the end of that story for every single person going down that road is going to be serious sickness. I took the Suboxone route. I mentioned in one of my earlier videos that I was taking care of somebody who had pancreatic cancer, and I could not come off the medication and be that sick for that long. I still had to drive her an hour or more on a daily basis to get her chemo, to get her Procrit injections, and to get her, you know, what's the red blood cell one? Or Januvia, or whatever it's called, I can't remember. But it doesn't matter. You know, it just, I didn't have the ability to be sick. And I really thought that Suboxone was the answer. But Suboxone, much like pain medication, is a trap. And I don't care what any doctor tells you, at the end, you're going to experience some pain. You are going to experience pain. I'm not going to lie about that. You know, but you have to keep your eye on the prize. You have to really want this. And if you really want it, you'll obtain it. But my suggestion, what I did this time that was different than every other time, is that I did my homework. And I was eating well. I was taking supplements. I have seen studies, if you guys look up, if you type into YouTube, opiate withdrawal, megadosing vitamin C, it'll bring up a few videos that will give you, there's one in particular, I can't remember the doctor's name, and I will try to see if I can't find it, but like I said, if you just type that in, megadosing vitamin C for opiate withdrawal, what it'll bring up is this video of this guy, and I'm not sure if he was a doctor or not, but I know that he worked with addicts, and they did an experiment, I can't remember all, it convinced me that, and it was the only option I had. I didn't have any money to go get more Suboxone or pay $250 for the freaking initial visit, and then God knows how much my damn medication would be. I mean, I freaking think it would be like $600. So I took the remaining pieces I had. I jumped from 8 milligrams down to 3, from 3 down to 1, all within a 3-week period of time. I stayed on 1 milligram for 5 days, and then took, I think, 2 days worth of 0.5 milligrams, and then just jumped. And you know what I did? I took the pieces that I still had remaining sitting in my console, and I flushed them in the toilet, because then I had no choice. No choice. I had nowhere to get any more pain medication. Yeah, I kind of put myself in between a rock and a hard place, and I did it on purpose. But again, you guys have to want this bad enough. You have to want your freedom back. You know, thank God for the surgery, because I mean, my heart bleeds for people that are still in agony. because you end up feeling like that's the only way. And for those people, all I can do is pray for them. Anyway, God bless everybody. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. I'll make sure that I put my email address in the description underneath. All right, guys, good luck. You can do it.